Hey everyone, welcome in. Welcome. Let's get started. Let's make sure this is live. Yes, we are live. Welcome into the DanceFit Hub, everyone. Let me know that you're here by saying hello in the comments. Just making sure that we are live here. Let's check. Boop, 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 boop. Yes, I think it shows me live. Hopefully, let's see. Yes, perfect. All right, so let me know in the comments if you are here. If you're watching this later on the replay, just say hello. I always check to see who is watching. So again, welcome to the Dance Fit Hub, ladies. Come on in, say hello, tell me where you're watching from, because I know there's a lot of you from all over the United States and Canada. So let me know down below. And today's topic is something that we could literally be, talking about anywhere. And it's recently come up in my classes. So I thought that this would be a really great topic. It's about something that can be literally causing your imbalance, your tripping, and even your falls. Okay. And most women never really think about it. So I'm like, you know what? Let me bring it to light. Let me talk about it because it's not your age, right? Age gets thrown around a lot, and it's not your age because you can trip and fall literally at any age. It's not your workouts, right? They're not the ones that are causing that. And it's not just your balance, okay? What we're going to be talking about today is what's on your feet. Yeah, because that could be what's going to take you off of your feet. Okay. So, yeah, we're talking about what you're wearing on your feet. Today, we're uncovering the footwear mistakes that quietly increase your risk of tripping and falling. All right. And yes, I know you're thinking this because if you've been in this group, then you must be thinking, didn't you say that strength is what we're missing, Catherine? Yes. Strength is at the root of most falls for women over 50. But if your shoes aren't helping you, they're actually working against you. All right. So I'm going to check in here. All right. So I want to tell you a quick story about one of my clients. She had constant lower back pain, and every week she was like, my back hurts, my back hurts, my back hurts, right? Because we would meet on a weekly basis. We actually still meet on a weekly basis. And, I'd say, how was your weekend? And she would just be like, everything's great, but my back, like, I don't know what's going on. So after, workouts, she said she would, at the end of the day, also feel like some tension in her lower back. And once we started digging a little deeper, I noticed two things. She wore flip-flops pretty much all the time when she was at home. And she wore the same running shoes for every class that she took. She takes group classes, right? So she wore the same sneakers for regardless of the type, right? If it was a dance fitness class, if it was a strength class, any kind of class, she was wearing the same kind of sneakers. And so I told her, your feet are your foundation, right? Think about that for a second. All of your body weight, everything on a daily basis is on your feet. Okay. And if your foundation isn't supported, then your body is certainly not going to function well. All right. So I gave her two simple things to try. First was to switch the flip-flops, right, for supportive sneakers at home. So while she was because she's like, well, I'm doing chores and stuff like that. Do I really need to wear sneakers? Yes. So the homework was for her to wear sneakers at all times when she was home. Obviously, if she was going to go out somewhere, a different story. But for her daily activity at home, switch the flip flops out and stop using the same sneakers for everything. And guess what? That's it. That's all that she had to do. Within 1 week, her back pain was slowly dwindling away until finally it was gone, right? And when she changed the type of sneakers that she wore for class, better balance, better movement, more comfort, okay? Less discomfort. So that's when it really clicked for her, right? And why we are talking about this today, because all footwear is not created equal. Okay, what's on your feet is what supports your body, right? So if it's not the right thing, it's slowly going to create problems for you. All right, so tell me in the comments, what shoes do you wear the most during the day? Is it sneakers? Is it flip-flops? Is it casuals? Like, what is it? Put it down in the comments, all right? Okay, now we're going to talk about why shoes matter, especially for you after 50, right? As we get older, a few things naturally change, okay? Your feet lose cushioning. That's a thing. Your balance shifts. I know a lot of you already know that, right? Your joints need more support. We know that, right? And stability matters more than ever, okay? So the things that we used to get away with, we can't anymore. All right. For example, I know like I have a few clients that are like, I need to wear my stilettos. I can't wear any flat shoes and, all of these things. So for some of us, including myself, I used to be able to wear that too, long time ago. Now I have different feet, not the same. Can't do that anymore, okay? Your feet are your foundation. And again, if the foundation isn't stable, then everything above it struggles. Think about it. Your knees, your hips, your back, your balance, okay? Everything. It just throws everything off, okay? So let's talk about the biggest footwear mistakes. And yeah, be ready to pipe in at any point in the comments if you're like, yes, that's me. All right. So, number one, sneakers. Okay. And this surprises a lot of you. I know that. Not all sneakers are created equal. A lot of women wear one sneaker for everything. Remember, my client was one of those, right? Wearing one sneaker for everything. Walking, dancing, lifting, doing whatever, right? And that's like using the same tool for every job, which you wouldn't do, right? You wouldn't use a hammer to take a nail, to screw in something, right? You wouldn't take a wrench, right, to do a job that it wasn't made for, right? So the same thing that you can tell how much I know about tools, by the way. But you would not use a tool that was meant for another job, okay? I always say another analogy is like sports, right? You wouldn't play football with ballet shoes, right? That just like doesn't even make sense. You'd be like, no, why would I do that, okay? So the same thing is for your shoes, right? Walking shoes, let's talk about that. Walking shoes are designed for forward motion, okay, for walking, right? That's why they're called walking shoes. They're great for walking. They're good for like errands, daily activity kind of thing, right? But they're not built for side movement, okay? Also known in the fitness world as lateral movements, right? Or fast changes of direction, okay? Now, where do you usually see that? In dance fitness classes, in aerobics classes, right? You have side to side movement and fast changes in direction. Okay. Now, for dance fitness classes or classes, aerobics classes like that, you need something different. Okay. So you need a good side to side support. Okay. So there has to be something that really gives you the support on each side of your foot. Flexibility in the front of the shoe. Okay, so you don't want a tight fit in the front and you don't want it too wide either, right? You don't want too much space, but there has to be some flexibility in it. And it has to be a good fit on your foot. So not too tight, not too big, but just snug enough and not too much cushion, because too much cushion is going to make you unstable when you decide to move side to side or change direction. Okay, so let's move on. Strength training shoes. So strength training shoes, well, what kind of strength training kind of thing? Okay, well, let's say you're doing a balls and bands class, or you're doing a weightlifting class, or you're doing a HIIT class, right? Where it's a lot of stationary types of exercises. When you're doing strength training, you want to feel grounded. Okay, you want to connect with the floor. Okay, so you're going to need a flatter shoe, a more stable base, and minimal cushion. Okay, so you really want to have that connection to the floor. All right. Pam says, I think you were talking about me. I now wear sneakers to work around the house. I have different sneakers for dance fitness, strength training, walking, and errands, plus recovery flip-flops for relaxing. Yes, a little bit of you in there. A little bit of you in there, Pam. Okay, now, when we're talking about sneakers, since we're on the topic, right? I wanted to bring attention to a specific brand. Okay, now I am not supporting any brand and I'm not bashing any brands. I'm just bringing a little attention and awareness for you. So, Hokas, right? Or Hakas, whatever you want to call them, right? Hokas. For the next couple of reasons that I'm going to give you, okay? I really think that you need to be aware of certain things about these shoes. Now, why? Because I know that they're popular. I teach every single day in an over 55 community, right? Even online, I can see the sneakers that people are wearing, right? And Hokas are pretty popular. They're so popular that even when I was looking for sneakers at one point, because I like to change mine around, I'm not really like, well, now I am. I'm religiously using the same brand. But when I was looking to change, I had seen a lot of people wearing that. I'm like, I got to give these a try. Okay, they're comfortable, right? They're super comfortable. People love them. I didn't really love them, but I could see where people were like, okay, let me get these shoes. The issue is that they have a very thick sole. Okay, all of them, they all do. And there's lots of cushion and it has a very wide base. So that means like the whole shoe in general is super wide, right? And it doesn't really have a nice connection with the ground at all. Okay, you're kind of feeling like I was saying it's like kind of like, I felt like it was a boat on my foot because it was just huge, right? And so for what I do in person, right, teaching classes like dance fitness classes or aerobics classes, that wasn't going to work for me. And for any of you that are taking any dance fitness or anyone struggling with balance, right, that can actually make you less stable. Okay, and I see this all the time, especially in my low impact aerobics classes, right? I see Hokas in there all the time, right? And here's the thing, comfort, I totally understand comfort, but it does not always mean stability, okay? It's almost like trying to balance on a really cushiony mat, even if you were barefoot, okay? I don't know if anybody's ever tried that, but I kind of, I'm challenging you to try that. If you take off your shoes and you're on a really cushiony mat, not a flat type of mat where you can feel the ground, but one that's like super cushiony, you're gonna feel you're kind of like wiggling your toes and trying to stabilize yourself, and that's what will cause you to fall over. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever noticed, let me know in the comments if you've ever noticed that balance feels different depending on your shoes. Okay, so let me know, have you ever noticed that depending on the shoes that you wear, right, you feel like your balance is a little different. Okay, and I know this for a fact because I've seen women that struggle with balance go from wearing sneakers to like these flat little slip-on slippers, which we'll talk about later. Okay, so I know that definitely feels different. Okay, now let's move along to the next popular shoe, flip-flops. Okay, ladies, flip-flops are for the beach and the pool. That's it. And it doesn't matter the brand. It doesn't matter if they are Crocs and they are promising to be like the most comfortable flip-flops in the world, or if there's some athletic brand with like a super cushiony whatever. No. Flip-flops are made for the beach and the pool, maybe even like the shower in a locker room. Maybe if you have like a beach weekend, I don't know. But they're not made for working out. Okay. And I'm going to throw in this category. I'm also going to throw in, because I've seen this kind of shoe too, where it's an outdoor shoe, but it has the openings in it. It's kind of like a trail shoe or like a camping shoe, but it has like the toes are a little bit like there's little holes in there. That's not made for working out. Okay? They cause problems. All right? They cause problems because they have no arch support most of the time, no heel stability. Your toes are exposed. Let's talk about that, right? Your toes grip to them to keep them on, right? And it changes your walking pattern, okay? I've even noticed that when I wear flip-flops, I'm constantly like, the flip-flop gets stuck and I'm like walking and it gets stuck on the floor. And over time, this is what leads to your foot feeling tired. So foot fatigue is like a thing. Back pain, definitely. Fallen arches is a thing, right? Which later leads to plantar fasciitis, okay? Which is a popular thing in this group. And poor posture, okay? Because there is literally no support on your foot. So what happens is that some of you end up rolling the foot in, some of you roll the foot out, right? And when we're doing all of these kinds of rolling with our feet, our knees decide that they want to join that party, and then it just keeps going up. Then your hips are not aligned, and then your back suffers the consequences, okay? So even in a seated class, it's still going to affect your alignment, okay? And I say this because I teach seated classes, and sometimes I have participants that decide, well, I'm not gonna be doing a lot, so let me come in my flip-flops. No, okay? So if you wouldn't exercise barefoot on a slippery surface, right? Think about a slippery surface, a pool deck or something like that. If you wouldn't exercise on a slippery surface, then flip-flops are not safe. Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, now the next one is going to be slip-ons or slip-on flat shoes or casual shoes. Okay, so this is another one that I see because ladies over 55, especially ladies like in their 60s and 70s, want to look cute when they come to class, right? So maybe they're wearing like their cute Sperry shoes, right? Which are like loafers, right? Kind of shoes, or they're wearing fashion kind of casual sneakers, things like that, or like a slip-on flat shoe, right? It looks like a ballet slipper, but it's just a flat, what they call flats, right? Those are lifestyle shoes, not movement shoes, okay? They totally lack support where you need it the most. It has no structure and it encourages shuffling, okay? And shuffling is one of the biggest causes of tripping and falling, okay? I am challenging you to one day just people watch in your communities, especially those of you that are in over 55 communities, and just watch how people walk. And I do this on a daily basis. This is where I come up with all of these things to talk about, okay? As you age, if you don't follow a program or you're not constantly working on your strength training and constantly working on your posture and your balance and all of that stuff, you start to shuffle, okay? And you're just kind of shuffling along, and sometimes when you're distracted, right, you don't even realize that you're doing it, okay? So try not to do that. As my mom used to always say to me, pick up your feet. That's what she used to say. She hated shuffling around the house, and she used to be like, pick up your feet, okay? So what should you look for then? Like, what kind of shoes do I need? All right, so dance fitness, right, or aerobics. So what does that mean? If you take Zumba, if you take La Blast, right, which is like a cardio ballroom class, if you take line dancing even, right, if you're doing aerobics, jazzercise, something like that, you need a shoe that has a snug fit, support on the sides of the shoe, and a flexible front, which means that if you rolled your foot like this onto the ball of your foot, it's flexible, and it has moderate cushion, okay? Walking shoe, what does that look like? That looks like a cushioned heel, a good arch support, and stable, okay? And then for strength training, flat base, a flat kind of shoes. That's why sometimes you'll see the younger generation, they like to work out in a Converse sneaker, right? Everybody knows what Converse sneakers are, I hope, because they're very flat, right? And there are actually some other basketball type of shoes that are flat as well, okay? So something that's more flat. I know Adidas has flat shoes, Nike has flat shoes. So a lot of the big brands have the flatter base shoes and grounded. So you want to feel like you're not trying to balance on your feet, you're just totally grounded, all right? So simple rule, if your shoe makes you feel disconnected from the floor, then it's probably not helping your balance, okay? So what do I mean by that? If you had to stand, if you're standing, and I've seen this too, if you're standing and your body's rocking back and forth or side to side, you're not balanced. That's like a really obvious indicator, okay? If I were to ask you to stand on one foot, even if you were holding onto a chair and your foot is rocking from side to side and your toes are trying to grip onto the sole of the shoe, it's another indicator, okay? So it's those types of situations is not helping your balance. Even for people that have good balance, right? Even when you're like, oh, but if I take off my shoe, I'm able to do it. How come when I wear my shoe, it doesn't happen? Because the shoe is affecting your balance, right? So I also want to mention here that I do recommend changing your sneakers about every 6 to 12 months. Now you might be like, what? That's a lot. Do you know how much sneakers cost? Yes, I know how much sneakers cost because I have to replace mine more often than you. But it's just a suggestion and a recommendation, especially if, like, let's say you only have the 2 pairs and you're kind of going through being active in them every single day. Okay, there is a whole lot of wear and tear, not only on the sole of the shoe, but even on the inside. So those really cushiony sneakers that you bought originally felt really great, and then in about 6 to 12 months, it's not the same. Okay, so do be aware that you do have to change them, right? It's not good to be wearing sneakers for, like, let's say, oh, I've had these for 10 years. No, it's time to change them. That's what I'm saying. All right. Now, if you are asking, well, if you don't recommend Hoka's, then what do you recommend? Okay. So Skechers has come a long way, and now they do have some nice running shoes. I do prefer that you purchase shoes with laces, even though the slip-on ones are very tempting. The laces will secure and give your foot more support rather than you slipping in and out of it every day, which kind of expands the part of the shoe where you're slipping in and out of every single day. That's going to stretch out eventually, so that's not going to give you the support you need. But if you have the laces, you can increase the support, right? A brand that I've been sticking with for the last few years is On. On Cloud is probably another one, which you know it as On Cloud. They have a lot of different types of shoes. They have flat shoes. They have like a level 1 kind of cushion, level 2, level 3, level 4. So I do recommend for you to do that. Also, maybe going up half a size in some shoes, because you don't want to have squished toes in the front. So like I said, a little wider box in the front of the shoe, sometimes it's a little helpful. Okay, so if you're struggling with balance, and if you're maybe sometimes afraid of falling, right? Or maybe you're worried about falling, your worry is about falling and maybe not being able to get up, or maybe you have not even gotten down to the floor or been able to get up from the floor in like years. Like you can't even remember when the last time that was, because you're just like, no, that I am not doing that, right? I want you to know that you don't have to live like that. You don't have to live with that fear, okay? That's exactly why I created the Rise Strong Challenge. So you may have seen me talking about that a little bit in some of my posts. It is going to be a 3-day challenge, 3 days, not 5, 3-day free challenge on March 23rd. Okay, so we still have a lot of time, but if that is something that you'd like to do, then you can definitely comment below. But this challenge is designed to help you improve your balance, of course, right? Build strength, yes, because you need the strength, right? So that you feel more stable, and to learn how to get up from the floor with confidence. So not only to get up, but also to get down, right? So to get down to the floor and get up, okay, in a safe way. No matter what the situation is, we're gonna learn a few different ways on how to do that. Okay, so if you want more information, then you're gonna comment below RISE. That's what RISE, that's what you're going to comment, and I'll send you the details on this upcoming challenge. All right, but don't worry, I'll be talking about it all month long. So you'll definitely get all the details on that. But if you're ready and you want to sign up for it, again, it's free, but I do need you to sign up for it so that you get all of the information. Then you're going to comment below RISE. Okay, so thank you for being here. Thank you, Pam, for joining live. And those of you that are joining afterwards and watching the replay, definitely leave me your thoughts and your comments down below. I do read them and I do reply. And I'll leave you with that. Any questions, again, just put them down below. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.